Well, hello, you guys, and welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing a reading from chapter 11 on breast health. Today's whole day, I dedicated that to breast health. And so breast health can be largely impacted by hormonal changes, including estrogen dominance is a huge one, or estrogen in general, or low progesterone can be a big contributor towards your breast health. I think this is a topic that is really personal and super sensitive for a lot of women, partly is because, for any one of you who have ever found a lump on your breast, you know how emotional it can be, how scary it can be, the confusion about, first of all, you go and look online and you're convinced that you've got breast cancer, and then if you, to get it diagnosed, and how do you go about that? There's all these different methods, and then knowing what's right, and then the wait time to get the results. And so it can be a really stressful time for a lot of women. And so if you're not familiar yet, we just published a new book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. And it's a very personal topic for me. It's something that I've struggled with for most of my life. And sometimes, as they say, you've got to write a book to really help yourself and then help other women along the way. One of the promises I've made myself is that I don't ever want to find another breast lump on my breast. I remember when I had a few scary episodes, and I certainly, it was something that I'll never forget, that very moment of finding it, and just the few weeks of going through the whole commotion of getting it diagnosed properly. My whole mission really at Hormones Balance and coming up with this book and doing this work is to help women. And really, I'm hoping to impact at least 1 million women in the world who struggle with estrogen dominance. And so if that is your story, then you're in a good place. And if there's a woman in your life who you love and care about and you think you can help, then feel free to tag her in these videos. And I can promise you that this is going to make a big difference in her life too. So this whole week, and so it's actually 8 days, we are doing something special for you guys. 3 videos a day. First, in the mornings, I'm doing cooking demos or some kind of a demo. This morning, I was just presenting a smoothie that's really helpful for breast health. And then I was doing a breast massage oil rather. And then in the afternoon, we had Gay Walden come on, and she's a breast health expert showing us how to activate your lymphatic system. We talked about thermography and how to basically how to choose thermography, when to choose thermography, how does thermography compare to mammograms, right? And if you have missed any of the talks, you can find them on overcomingestrogendominance.com/events. We are posting all the videos there. And they're going to live there for months to come. So that's going to be your repository. And what I'm going to do today is, the purpose of today's call is to do live questions and answers. So let's keep the questions maybe focus on estrogen dominance if we could. More so even on breast health. And so share with us, like, if you do have a story of your own breast health challenges or questions that you might have, do post them here. We focused a lot with Gay on more the diagnostic tools, as well as we talked about salves, we talked about poke root and iodine for the breast. So I'm not going to talk about that. I want to kind of move forward with other topics surrounding your breast health that are complementary to what we were discussing on that video. Now, one of the things, is that we have chapters here in the book that address different conditions. And so every chapter has got it's got this kind of color, and then you've got like an herb. We got a watercolor artist to draw all the herbs for us. And then you have all this information here in the chapter. Now, what's good to remember is that things like the Fibrocystic and Lumpy breast protocol is what I call an add-on protocol. An add-on protocol means that you're adding it onto something, right? So what is that something? And that something is the Estrogen Reset Foundation. The foundation is found in part 2. So this is part of part 3, but part 2 of the book is called the Estrogen Domanance. Let me just show you. So this is part 2 of the book, where it's the estrogen reset foundation protocol. And this is really that talks about how you set yourself up for success by using diet and supporting your gut health, liver health, as well as blood sugar balance in order to reverse estrogen dominance. And these things are very important, you guys, because one of the things that Gay was talking about in our talk earlier is that women who have fibrocystic breasts also have a lot of inflammation in the breast. And if inflammation very seldom happens in one part of the body, it typically tends to be systemic. So if you want to bring down inflammation in your breast, just by doing things like applying an oil that I was showing you this morning, how you can infuse different herbs into an oil, is super helpful. But if your diet is highly inflammatory, if you're dependent on coffee to get you through the day or multiple coffees, if having 2 glasses of wine is your default way of winding down for the day and you're experiencing a lot of estrogen dominance, I will say it's going to be hard just to do the add-on protocol or just to do magnesium alone or poke root alone to really reverse that. So I would encourage you to spend some time on the part 2, fixing up your diet. The good news is, as kind of complicated as it might sound, and I know you guys are busy. Many of you are women. Many of the women out here are you work professionally. You've got families to take care of, especially during COVID. Like when we were filming this, I know how difficult things can be. I can see this from my friends, the multitasking, and it's just having your life upside down. The good news is that, the whole thing about fixing your gut, supporting your liver, and balancing your blood sugar levels can be done by following the meal plans that we have here in the book. And they take care of all those 3 things together, right? So you don't have to really crack your head on figuring out, what do I do for my gut? What do I need for my blood sugar balance? What do I do for my liver? Okay. So I'm not going to be reading through the Estrogen Reset Foundation protocol. I'll leave that for you. It starts from page 61. So we're going to dive in today to the add-on protocol, if you will, right? And this is something, so I call it add-on because I'm assuming already this is going to be for women who've been following a really good diet, right? And then you want to just add on something extra because maybe your breasts are still not feeling 100%. Maybe you still have some pain. Maybe you found that lump that becomes bigger as you're nearing your period, and then it shrinks again, right? So let me get started. And by the way, we're also doing a giveaway today, and the giveaway is gonna be a copy of the book. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop a question in somewhere probably in the middle of this talk, and whoever gets it right, that you get a copy of the book. So that's that way I thought it was a kind of a cool way to get you to listen. So I feel like back at school, right? Okay. And then one other thing I forgot to mention, you can order the book on overcomingestrogendominance.com. And we've got some special gift for you there when you get the book from there. Come back, enter the receipt number, and we've got something very special for you. So take a look at that. And the book is available on Amazon, and we also do ship it overseas. Okay? All right, so let me get started. Reading chapter 11. Any woman who has found a lump on her breast knows the barrage of emotions that comes with the discovery. You are afraid and overwhelmed. You feel fear, confusion, and perhaps experience paralysis. Healthy breasts are dependent on your hormone status. If your hormones are out of balance and you have estrogen dominance, your breasts may develop more lumps, feel tender, and sore. These changes, though, known as fibrocystic breast change, can be a thing of the past. Key facts. Breast texture is naturally irregular and changes with your monthly hormonal cycle. Breasts are made of fatty tissue, milk-producing glands, ducts, and connective tissue. So their texture is not fixed. They change with the hormonal ebbs and flows of your menstrual cycle. At times, your breasts can feel lumpier when ducts enlarge as they fill with fluid in anticipation of a possible pregnancy. Then they softer and become softer and smaller towards the end of menstruation when estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest. Fibrocystic breasts develop when excess fluid isn't reabsorbed and adequately drained by lymphatic system, and that turns into cysts surrounded by rubbery fibrous tissue. Cysts are fluid-filled lumps or sacs that may move around, appear and disappear. In some cases, fibrous tissue surrounding them can thicken and firm up like scar tissue. These cysts inflame and enlarge the breast ducts, causing a lumpiness, discomfort, and pain in the breast. Fibrocystic breasts are benign. Rarely are they an indication of breast cancer, especially if the changes are bilateral, occurring on both sides of the breast. And your risk of breast cancer does not increase if you have them. They are very common. It's estimated that 60 to 90% of women have fibrocystic breasts at one point in their lives. For this reason, medical professionals have stopped labeling the condition a disease. These breast changes are considered pretty normal. Fibrocystic breasts occur bilaterally, meaning they happen on both sides of the breast. Fibrocystic breast change can be cyclical or non-cyclical. Cyclical changes alter with your period, so fluctuations in size and level of pain, for example, while non-cyclical are not impacted by the different stages of your menstrual cycle, with pain persisting throughout the month. Symptoms: soft, tender, movable cysts that are cyclic, more common than non-cyclic, less common, often painful, freely movable, and multiple, and they vary in size and occur in both breasts. Lumpy, thickening of breast caused by excess fibrous tissue, breast swelling, and soreness. Diagnosis: your doctor can diagnose fibrocystic breast by doing a physical breast exam. To get a closer look at your breast tissue, your doctor may order some diagnostic tests best performed right after your menses. And why after the menses is because this is when your progesterone and estrogen are both low, and so any variability in the breast tissue at this point is going to be at the lowest. So the techniques are ultrasound, thermography, a test that uses an infrared camera to detect heat patterns and blood flow, electrical resonance testing, mammogram, and biopsy as a last resort. Causes: estrogen dominance, especially due to the excess of dirty estrogen. So we talked about the dirty estrogens yesterday during our when I was setting up the stage for on estrogen dominance. Excess estrogen can cause an increase in fluid and swelling of the breast ducts. High levels of dirty estrogens and exposure to xenoestrogens from personal skincare and house cleaning products, which add more excess estrogen to fuel the growth of these ducts. Progesterone deficiency. Remember, without enough progesterone to balance out estrogen, we have the unbalanced partners cause of estrogen dominance. Low progesterone allows estrogen to become dominant, and the excess estrogen promotes fibrocystic breast. Magnesium deficiency, iodine deficiency, sugar addiction. Sugar promotes inflammation in the breast and systemically. Chronic constipation, preventing excretion of the dirty estrogens. High toxic load, preventing adequate detoxification of dirty estrogens and fueling inflammation. Inflammation caused by diet, stress, toxins, especially dioxide exposure, among many other sources that feed inflammation. Stress, often worsened by hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. Smoking, too much coffee and alcohol, these are not causes, but certainly contributing factors that make symptoms worse. Traditional treatments include, things like loose-fitting clothes and bras, decreasing caffeine, quitting smoking, getting off birth control pills. That's a big one. Anti-estrogen medications, also known as estrogen blockers, diuretics, painkillers, shedding fat, especially belly fat. The problem with all these approaches is they don't address the root cause of the problem: estrogen dominance, high inflammation, and toxicity. Worse still, If felt unaddressed, estrogen dominance can manifest in other conditions, such as thyroid nodules or estrogenic cancers. That's why the best way to treat estrogen dominance and fibrocystic breast proactively with holistic natural approaches that address what's causing the development of breast cysts in the first place. So let's talk about the fibrocystic lumpy breast protocol. So what is the protocol to it? Step 1 is do the 28-day estrogen reset foundation protocol, including the foundational supplements. See part 2 for everything you need to do to be successful. After doing the foundation protocol, you may not even need to implement step 2. But if you feel like you've mastered it and need to go deeper to address your fibrocystic breast, read on. Step 2, implement the fibrocystic and lumpy breast protocol. Implement as much of the following as you can. Some things may help and others wouldn't. We are all different and we all respond to changes in varied ways. Now, before I move on, the step 1 I was talking about, we have tons of recipes for you guys right at the back. And so we've got 15 new recipes that are not found in Cooking for Balance or Estrogen Reset, another cookbook that I wrote that was part of an online program. Those are all completely new recipes. And one of the differences is that they are really, and I really mean it, they are really, really simple. When I worked with a recipe developer, I said to her, I want the recipes to contain no more than 5 to 6 ingredients. Of course, I'm not counting like salt and pepper, okay? And take less than 30 minutes active cooking time. And we also have a lot of modifications here for you for Instant Pot. So you basically put things in an Instant Pot and you go about your day, you come back, food is ready, right? So that's what the 28-day estrogen reset foundation protocol includes, is the recipes. And then we have supplements for you. I'm going to be talking about supplements another time. And so what is the foundational ones for estrogen dominance? But and that's in one of the chapters here as well. It just talks about supplements alone. Okay, so let's talk about the protocol itself. What can you do to help yourself? This is a big one, you guys, and I know it's not going to be a popular one with many of you. Reduce caffeine and alcohol consumption, do an absolute minimum. I hope you're on top of this already, but if not, know that making these changes will really help your symptoms. My breasts get lumpy pretty quickly when I drink coffee and alcohol on a regular basis. So one of the examples I want to give you is, whenever I find myself going to Italy or Portugal or Spain, I will say I really fall off the tracks a lot of the time. And oftentimes I see my friends over there or we get together with friends. And it's typically, a very social time. And we'll go and have espresso. And we have, a couple of glasses of wine a day. And I might not eat as cleanly as I do otherwise. And I certainly, within a month, I'll develop breast lumps immediately. So, this is just my own personal experience, but also a lot of the studies that I have found just show how caffeine really can make a very big difference, and alcohol as well, not just on lumpy breast, but also on breast cancer. Apply bioidentical progesterone to breast tissue. I have found that applying progesterone topically makes a big difference, especially if you are in a lot of pain. For instance, if you can't even put on your bra because your breast hurts so much. Topical progesterone is an absolutely wonderful solution. Not only does progesterone help with fibrocystic breast and estrogen dominance, it also improves sleep, it promotes a calmer, better mood, raises your libido, regulates your cycle for more predictable periods, builds bones, lowers LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, converts fat to energy, lowers your risk of developing estrogenic breast cancer, and reduces hot flashes. Progesterone is amazing. Next solution, move your lymphatic system. I feel like the lymphatic system is underestimated given it's a highway of tunnels that evacuate junk from your body. It's easy to support your lymphatic system. Dry brushing and rebounding can easily be incorporated into your daily routine and only take a few minutes. This is especially important to breast health. For more on these benefits, also see how to do dry brushing and rebounding, see page 154. Who here does dry brushing on a regular basis? Karen's saying always the 80-20 rule. That's so true. I absolutely agree with that. Who here has tried doing dry brushing, and how often do you do it? Adding a breast lymphatic massage, and this is something that Gay was showing today in our video on how to do how to massage your breast. But if you missed the video, it's okay, because we also have a picture, a graph showing you how to do it, in which direction to massage your breast. At breast lymphatic massage, I was first made aware of this technique by a wonderful holistic breast health practitioner, Gay Walden. She then introduced me to Dr. Bruce Ryan, who teaches this profound method of massage around the world. Massage in general has been shown to activate blood flow in the lymphatic system. However, there is a special kind of massage that targets the breast lymph system specifically. Breasts are very high lymphatic channels, and stagnation can manifest in the form of tender and fibrocystic breasts. I've recorded a video with breast specialists showing you how to do that, so that's what I'm referring to her. Lymphatic breast massage. So here's the instructions. I'm going to skip through that and then move on to other solutions. Infused oils. Topically, Herbal is very successfully use oils infused with dandelion, violet, and calendula flowers, or sometimes comfrey and pokeroot, to lower breast inflammation and move the lymphatic system in the breast. See breast massage oil on page 348, and this is what I was showing this morning, how to make it. On how to make it. It's simple and inexpensive. I've tried this oil many times and felt like my breast tenders has reduced by 50 to 70% within hours. Use this oil when doing breast massage described above. Consider iodine. We have iodine receptors in our breast, brain, thyroid, and ovaries. These organs need iodine to function properly. I found that breast lumps can go away quickly, especially dense fibrocystic breasts, not just lumps, by adding iodine. I've seen many amazing results. Sensitivity improves significantly as well. Foods such as seaweed, like kelp, wakame, hijiki, seafood, and eggs are good sources of iodine, or try supplements. Though only people found to be deficient in iodine through proper testing should take supplemental iodine. The preferred form of iodine supplementation is potassium iodide. Take 3 to 10 milligrams per day, starting low. Some women report great results by applying iodine directly on their breasts. And this is one of the products that Gay makes. Caution: do not add iodine internally or externally if you have hyperthyroidism, Graves' disease, or Hashimoto's disease with elevated TPO, thyroid peroxidase antibodies. Adding iodine may cause a thyroid flare-up. And I really mean it, you guys. It's a lot of practitioners prescribe iodine when you have hypothyroidism. And there is so much research showing you that it does cause a flare-up of autoimmunity. And my good friend, Dr. Isabella Wentz, talks about it. Dr. Chrysin talks about it. Dr. Alan Christensen has just released a book called The Thyroid Reset Diet. It's all about reducing iodine intake to heal Hashimoto's. And so it's a real issue. Excuse me. Add borage oil internally, a potent anti-inflammatory pain reliever. It contains 20 to 26% gamma-linolenic acid, which is also known as GLA, a fatty acid that converts into prostaglandin, PGE1 and PGE3, which are natural painkillers, and suppresses PGE2, which is the one that causes pain. The recommended dosage is 240 milligrams 3 to 4 times per day with meals, or as directed by your healthcare practitioner. By the way, GLA is also found not just in borage, but is also found in evening primrose. Okay, so that's the reason why evening primrose a lot of time is given to women with menopause, with PMS symptoms and a lot of pain around the uterus because of the anti-inflammatory, the PG, the prostaglandin activity that it produces. So you can get your GLA from either evening primrose or from borage. Add vitamin E for pain relief. In 2009 double-blinded clinical trial of 150 women, 200 IU of vitamin E reduced breast pain by 70% in 2 months. Vitamin E promotes progesterone production and inhibits breast cancer. Another solution, add an aromatase inhibitor. Natural aromatase inhibitors such as chrysin and passionflower lower estrogen levels by preventing the conversion of DHEA and testosterone into estrogen. Somebody asked on a call earlier that she said she's taking testosterone and she has breast pain, and asking if that was normal. The answer is no, it's not normal. And what happens is when you take DHEA testosterone, some of that is going to get converted to estrogen. You have no control over how much, but it is the excess estrogen that can cause a lot of is excess estrogen you're producing. But also, if you have a poor liver function or poor gut health, then the way you're breaking down those estrogens is not beneficial, and that's what causes the pain in the breast. So the aromatase inhibitor basically prevents the conversion from testosterone to estrogen, right? So it's like you're drawing a cross on that conversion, on that pathway, and it's called chrysin, Chrysin, and passionflower. Chrysin is actually found in passionflower, and so 200 milligrams. Consult with your healthcare provider before taking one, as there are precautions for medications and estrogen-sensitive cancers when it comes to aromatase inhibitors and medications that change the liver. Take 2 tablespoons of freshly ground flaxseed per day. And guess what? Flaxseed I was showing you today how to use that in your smoothie without any sugar. Even though flaxseed contains phytoestrogens and can be estrogenic, they are not bad for you. Flaxseed promotes the breakdown of estrogens into clean estrogens and not the damaging dirty estrogens. Try castor oil packs to support liver detoxifications, clear out dirty estrogens, and reduce inflammation. If you haven't already tried castor oil packs, now this is a good time to try. Alternate placements over your liver and breast. Add essential oils for additional support. See the box, and I'll show you the box in a second. For more on the benefits and how to apply a pack, see page 150. And by the way, we're going to be talking about castor oil packs and how to apply them it's going to be on a day when we're going to be talking about fibroids. To see the full schedule, go to overcomingestrogendominance.com/events, and you'll see when we're going to be covering fibroids. But on that day, we're also going to be talking about castor oil packs and how to apply them on your uterus and your breast as well. They're quite amazing. By the way, just a few weeks ago, there was a lady who posted in our forum that she had a double mastectomy. She had a lot of inflammation and a lot of pain. And she took the castor oil pack and she applied it on her breast. And she said within a few hours, all that pain and inflammation has come down. So they're quite amazing. Now, the essential oils that I was referencing here is called the Happy Breast Blend. It comes from my good friend, Dr. Marissa Snyder, who's the author of the Essential Oils Hormone Solution. And she says here, to a 10 milligram bottle, you can add 5 drops of frankincense essential oil, 5 drops of lavender essential oil, 3 drops of tangerine essential oil, 7 drops of helichrysum essential oil, and 4 drops of orange essential oil. Top up the bottle with fractionated coconut oil. It doesn't have to be coconut oil. You can use anything like jojoba, even castor oil, and apply to breast and pulse points. Okay. All right. I've got one other solution for you, and that's to implement herbal solutions, herbal strategies. Work with a local herbalist to create an herbal formula that can combine several different strategies. Herbs that are hormone modulators, enhancing liver and bowel production, in addition to relieving local congestion. So it's in herbalism, we call it lymphatics. These herbs support the following strategies. Hormone modulators: chasteberry, dong quai, red clover. Enhancing liver health and bowel production: ginseng, dandelion root. Relieving local congestion, also known as lymphatics: cleaver, dandelion flower, calendula flower, comfrey root, poke root. Okay, so I'm drinking a tea here today. that actually has red clover in it. I've also put in a red raspberry leaf because it's also, both of them have just an incredible ability to support overall women's hormones. And there's something about red clover and breast health that's just really amazing. It just, different herbs work on different parts of the body, and red clover is like somehow for the reproductive organs of women, like the uterus and the breast. It's just got like this special magic and energy. And then I talk about testing and saliva testing and Dutch testing. We're going to be talking about testing with my friend, Dr. Chantasson, on Saturday. By the way, weather permitting, we have a big snowstorm coming up here to Colorado. And so I'm just crossing my fingers and my toes, because whenever there is a big snowstorm, we do lose power here. And without power, I can't be doing the transmission. So we'll keep you in touch. We'll keep you informed with my team. And if we need to delay it for another day, we'll just push it out to another day. Okay, so let's do a little quick question, and then we're gonna be, then we can do live Q&As. Okay, so let me ask you a question about, let's see. Okay, let me ask you a question. Who should not be using iodine on your breast? Which conditions, women with which conditions should not be using iodine on their breast or internally as a supplement? And there's, well, at least two conditions that we want you to mention, okay? And so whoever gets it first, then we're gonna be sending you a copy of my latest book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. Okay, people saying Hashimoto's, but it's not the only one. It's two conditions that I mentioned, Hashimoto's and underactive. Oh, no, it's not really. Autoimmune, yes. Yes, that's the one. Mandy got it. Anyone with Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. Woohoo, that's the one. Good. Graves' disease, you guys, is an autoimmune disease that causes hyperactive thyroid. And that's something I had in my late 20s. And it was terrible condition to live with. It was, I couldn't sleep. I was incredibly moody and aggressive. I would get heart palpitations, like my shirt was literally bouncing off my chest. My hands would be sweaty. I was going completely mental. I thought I was losing my mind. That not sleeping is really no fun because you're just so amped up, like, oh, like that all the time. And you can't rest. And that was crazy. Okay. So Brittany, why don't you pop up some questions and then we'll do live Q&As with our lovely ladies. What if I'm on estrogen-only hormone replacement therapy? So what is the question really? What are you asking? What about it? Like, what are your symptoms? What is your problem? Are you asking about progesterone? So let's unpack this question a little bit because I don't know what that means. How do you test for all the body inflammation? Is the C-reactive protein the one to test, or ferritin? Yes, great question. Yes, the answer is yes. Is your C-reactive protein is a great one. And you might want to consider HS C-reactive, so highly sensitive C-reactive protein. That's a really good one. And we have panels. If you have a great functional doctor who ordered that for you, fantastic. If you don't, then take a look at, Brittany, let's post that one. It's called yourlabwork.com/hormonesbalance. And that's there's a whole bunch of labs you can order from them through us, and there's a discount for our folks and stuff like that. You can order it yourself online if you are in the US. The other one I would also look at is your elevation of your markers in your liver. So there will be the ASL and ALT. Those are proteins that will be elevated when your liver is struggling, like a non-alcoholic fatty liver. Is one of them. So those will be the big ones. Plus, just the general symptoms, it will be like a lot of body pains and aches. Some people actually really feel the inflammation, inability to sleep, like being bloated a lot of the times. Those are some of the very typical symptoms. Okay. Lisa is saying, I grew a massive cyst in my breast, some needing to be drained by my doctor and show up prominently on my mammogram. Okay, so what is the question here? I'm wondering. What do you do? I mean, if the question is, what do you do about it? Then I'll say, implement the protocol that's in a book. That must be really difficult to be getting your breast drained every time. Ouch. Ramona is saying, I have been told I have dense breasts and that they are more susceptible to breast cancer. Do you talk about that in your book? So, Ramona, I don't talk about specifically, neither have I done enough research to really see like density of breast and connection to breast cancer. But if you heard me talk about it at the beginning of this video, and like when we started the whole lunch party thing, is that I've had breast cancer and uterine ovarian cancer on both sides of my family, and that really terrified me, especially when my dad brought up something really interesting. He said, no women in our family have had held on to their uteruses above age 50, and that was a really eye-opening moment. When I went to see my functional doctor here in Colorado, she looked at my labs and she asked me if I've had breast cancer. So I have all the genetic, markers for being a perfect candidate. And so that's the reason why, I started doing this work for myself first, because I just don't want to go down that path. And, maybe I'm a hypochondriac or something, but it really terrifies me. Like even having a lump, it was just so terrifying. So I set out to do this work to help myself first. And then I realized later, this is really something that can impact millions of women if they choose to follow the protocol. And there's nothing weird about this protocol. It's nothing dogmatic. It's nothing risky. This is just really common sense of detoxifying your liver, supporting your digestion, supporting your blood sugar levels. So, whether you have dense breast or not, it doesn't really matter. The protocol is going to work for all women, regardless of the type of breast they have. Alexandra is asking, I tested iodine via dry urine and it is low within the range. Is it a good thing since I am Hashimoto's? Yeah, that's a really good question. So you're still within range, but you're on the low side. The question is if you have Hashimoto's. So how high are your antibodies in Hashimoto's? That is the key question here. So, when you talk to practitioners who specialize in Hashimoto's, they believe that as long as you keep your TPO antibodies below 100, then you can slowly start incorporating iodine in small doses. If your antibodies are raging, then absolutely not. But then the question is, why are your antibodies so elevated? What can you do to lower them? And there's a lot of things you can do to lower them. So Dr. Isabella Wen's books, I think, are fantastic for that. So if my TPO is 24, then it's great. If your TPO is only 24, then you can slowly start incorporating iodine into your life. Does rebounding also help to lower high blood pressure? Rebounding, have you done rebounding? It's just really great. Like, it's so fun. It's very childlike. It feels very energizing. It's kind of like that sensation of just going up in the air, and it's just so fun, right? Would it lower blood pressure? I've never seen studies on that. Maybe they are, but it definitely is, stress really revealing in many ways. I think high blood pressure is also highly correlated with a lot of other things. Poor sleep, being over caffeinated, finding a lot of salt, sodium and salt. I'm not talking here about, I'm not demonizing here like pink Himalayan salt. I'm talking here about salt that is just crappy salt, that's just stripped of everything, and is the high sodium levels that's found in foods. Those are the ones who that are problematic, that should be addressed for high blood pressure. Is the Happy Breast blend in Marisa's book? Yes, it is. So it's that one that I got. It's from the Essential Oil Hormone Solution. I think that's her latest book that just came out, or is coming out. I talked to she's my friend too, and so we talk so much that I don't even know whether, I've had a copy of the book and I can't remember right now whether it's already come out or whether I saw the early copy. So anyway, Google it. I'm sure it's on Amazon. You would know. Janet says, I know your book is for estrogen dominance, but can the herbs and supplements be used along with cancer treatment? So that's something you have to talk to your oncologist about. There are certain supplements that are contraindicated for, and again, what is cancer treatment? There's so many different things that go into cancer treatment. So depends what you're talking about. Is it a tamoxifen, or is it chemo, or is it radiation? So I'm really not in a, I cannot be commenting on that. But Janet, one thing that we do have is if you ever need help from a functional oncologist, so oncologist who really believes in incorporating all the modalities of Western medicine, combining that with, functional medicine and herbalism and maybe Ayurveda, whatever is the modality, then let us know. Write an email to support@hormonesbalance.com, and we have a few practitioners that we recommend for functional oncology support. How to fix your estrobolome. Okay, that's a great one. So for those of you who don't know, the estrobolome is a subset of bacteria in the gut that codes for enzymes, those enzymes like chomp down those dirty estrogens. So what's really interesting is when I was working on the book, I found this research that showed, actually a number of papers, that showed that women with breast cancer had a significantly lower diversity of gut bacteria as compared to healthy subjects, right? And so it wasn't a paper that said that poor microbiome causes breast cancer. It wasn't so much that, but it was just it was an observational study. It was not as, not a causational, not a causation that was discussed there. So, but nevertheless, a really interesting one. And there's a lot of research that's been done now in NYU, led by a professor there on estrobolome. So how do you fix it? There is still so little that we know about the estrobolome. But what we do know is that the gut is going to be benefiting a lot when you eliminate a lot of the inflammatory foods out of your life. So removing all the gluten, dairy, excessive sugar, right? Whatever other foods are bothering you. So this whole cookbook is free of gluten, dairy, soy, eggs, corn, and we use very minimal sugar in our recipe. So removing inflammatory foods is already going to be a big win for the gut to stop struggling. The other thing is introducing prebiotics, right? And so depending on the person, a lot of times people talk about prebiotics being things like onions and garlic and Jerusalem artichoke and asparagus. And they're all great. The problem is they're all high in FODMAPs. And so if they make you bloated, right, that's not a good idea because it just creates a lot of the gas in the GI tract, and the GI tract is basically struggling. So, but there's other ways of incorporating prebiotics. And one of them I was showing this morning in the recipe, and that is fiber RS. So that's resistant starch kind of fiber. And resistant starch can be found in things like acacia tree, as well as green banana flour, cold potatoes, cold rice. So it has to be cold. That's when the RS starch develops. And so adding that to your diet on a regular basis, like for example, this morning I put in our product, Fiber RS, to my smoothie, and that's a really great prebiotic, right? And then you come to a point of being, okay, so what about the probiotics, right? And so, probiotics is a really interesting and kind of a longer conversation topic, but every company will be like, my probiotic is best. No, mine is best. No, mine is even better, right? And they poo-poo on each other, and then there's these fights of going like, what about the gut? The soil bacteria is the best, and go like, no, the megas probiotics are the best. So spore-based probiotics are the best, and then whether it's bifidobacterium and all that. So really, the answer of all this is what I have found as somebody who's completely independent from all of this, and we don't even make our own probiotics, is that at the end of the day, it really depends on what your gut needs, and you would know this when you incorporate one thing at a time and see what helps you. I'll give you an example. For example, soil probiotics. I've been just seeing so many ads for soil probiotics, and when I was in private practice, I remember having a few clients who you would use soil probiotics, and they would be like, "It's changed my life," right? And then there's others like me. I'll take it. I'm like, nothing, right? Spore-based probiotics, which is like in our store we sell it. Megas Probiotics, my favorite brand. They can make a profound difference in a person's life. So I think you're gonna just try one at a time and see what works for you. The other one is what Austin is saying there, is about, probiotics coming from food, right? So like water kefir. I will talk about kombucha in just a second because I don't particularly agree with kombucha. Sauerkraut, miso, kimchi, right? Tempeh, which is your fermented soy. Incorporating these, even if you're doing if you go to farmers markets, like we're going into summer now, right? If you're going into farmers markets, if you can get a salsa that's truly fermented, not the ones that it's made with, with lactic acid and with citric acid, sorry, and with vinegar and just lemon or lime, but like truly fermented, lacto-fermented salsa, dill pickles, and the interesting thing is every one of these ferments that I mentioned just now, miso, another one, great one if you can tolerate soy, all of those that I mentioned, every one of them has a different bacterial profile, right? So the name of the game when it comes to probiotics and the microbiome is not about having a lot of the same thing, but having a wide variety of them. And that way your gut is going to do a lot better. So that's my long answer about the estrogen. You support it from all those angles, prebiotics, and probiotics, probiotic rich foods, and reducing inflammation, right? And then, so those are the big ones. The other thing about kombucha I would just mention is that I don't particularly agree with kombucha for a couple of reasons. It's super high in yeast. It's super high in histamine. It's, like all fermented foods are, but it's something about kombucha that is just, and you would know if kombucha agrees with you or it doesn't. It doesn't agree with you if you are burping after having it, you're feeling slightly drunk, if you're feeling really tired after having kombucha. That's not a drink for you. And so it's just something that I found that I think it's like a crazy health thing. But, if it works for someone, great, stick to it. But don't force yourself to drink it just because everybody says kombucha is a great health food if it makes you feel the way I described. Okay. Do we have any other questions for today? We do have a comment here. Is it true about the probiotic? Okay. All right. Abby is saying, I'll go through weeks of normal bowel movements and then all of a sudden I get constipated, have diarrhea and lots of gas and bloating without any diet changes that would bring on the tummy issues. What could cause these symptoms? Also, I have been diagnosed with estrogen dominance, wondering if these are tied to each other. So you have to kind of see, I wouldn't say that. Estrogen dominance would not cause these sort of abnormalities in your bowel movements. What I would suggest for you to do is a couple of things, Abby, is first of all, to set up a food journal to really identify, is there really no changes or that is just something you haven't caught? And the other thing is, I have seen these sort of things happen a lot for people who struggle with parasites. That's a very common one. If you're having some kind of an infection, bacterial, viral infection, and it's basically these bugs can play up. And so a really great task to do is called GI map. If you can find a functional practitioner who has an account who runs GI map and he's trained on interpreting that, I highly recommend to get this done. But I think setting up a food journal could be a first great starting point. What does FSH12 mean in case after breast removal 6 years ago with current ovary cyst and thick uterus, no period? So can you remind me of what is the range of FSH? If it's the 12, is it high or low? Because it's not a hormone I often work with. So if you could just, I don't know who that person is, just says A. If you can just remind me, if it's considered on the high side, then the answer is you're basically going through menopause. It's that simple. Okay, let's move on to another one. Love your platform, bringing truth to women's health. Fabulous information. Thank you, Karen. So true about the probiotics. I've used different probiotics depending on my body's needs. Yeah, thank you, Kimberly. And that's very true. So like I was mentioning, soy probiotics did not do anything for me. And spore-based probiotic worked. I felt really great. And I felt like it helps my immune system. Also, another interesting piece of research that I have found is that people who were not breastfed. So I was born and I wasn't breastfed at all. My mother bought into this whole belief that formula milk is more healthy than mother's milk. And so the nurses told her on it and she believed in it. And then, and needless to say that I had so many health issues as a baby and my sister had none of those. And she was breastfed. So my mom kind of came to her senses pretty soon after that. But anyway, one of the things that the research that I have found is that people who are not breastfed are very low typically on the bifidobacteria spectrum. And so I do take a bifido base that's got like over 24 different strains. And I certainly, my digestion feels a lot better when I do. So just little thing to share. I've had a band and esophageal ulcer, and I'm carrying 60 extra kilos. Where should I start? Anna is asking. So Anna, the first starting point for us is always at the Hormones Balance communities to start off with the elimination diet. I have found that when you eliminate the inflammation that's potentially coming from foods such as the ones that I mentioned, gluten, dairy, soy, corn, eggs, and eggs are not bad for everyone, but you wouldn't know until you cut it out for a period of time and then reintroduce them. And minimizing sugar, those are the kind of things that just like the whole inflammation, your whole body is just like, oh, thank goodness, right? And then inflammation comes down and then you can start doing, working on a lot of other things. I have written, Brittany, if we can look up that article, I've written a very comprehensive article about what's stopping your weight loss and really uncovering a lot of the issues, whether it's how much is it your thyroid? How much is it your hormones? What about toxicity? What about trauma from the past in childhood? Some women hold on to weight because of a trauma that happened, right? So it's not if weight loss was an easy answer, we would have had it by now. And as you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that people make a lot of money promising loss, right? Weight loss. What about your blood sugar levels, right? So I've covered a lot of these different points in that article, and it really depends on what is your root cause of your weight gain. But I really recommend for you to start off with the elimination diet and the whole book is based on the elimination diet because it really is just gonna give you like a really great start. Yeah, welcome. Okay, so it looks like we're good for questions. Thank you so much for you guys for being here with me this evening, and we're gonna be talking to you tomorrow. We've got a new lineup of things. Brittany, can you remind me what do we have for tomorrow? Because I was like so focused on today that just drop it into private chat and I'll take a quick look at it. Let's see what we have for tomorrow. But yeah, so, every morning we have a cooking demo and then we have an expert interview. And after that, we have the reading of the book and then live Q&As with you guys. So that's how we've structured it. Okay, so great. So tomorrow we're talking about weight gain on especially hips and thighs and cellulite and how to lose that. Plus, I've got my friend Deborah Atkins coming on talking about exercise, and you'll be quite surprised what she's got to say. She's not going to be telling you to exercise more. It's just the right type. And I think you're going to find her presentation really interesting, her talk really interesting. And I'm also going to talk about, because I know a lot of you are asking about belly fat, like why do you suddenly develop belly fat a lot more than you had before. So let's it's a different kind of hormonal imbalance that plays a role here, but I will talk about it because I know it's a popular topic and it's a big pain point for a lot of you. I know that you've never had a belly before. You turn 45 and it's like boop. So yeah, let's cover that tomorrow. And so have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.